Hello, and welcome to Resident Advisor's Exchange, a series of conversations with the artists, labels, and promoters that are shaping the electronic music landscape. My name is Todd L. Burns, and I'm the editor-in-chief of Resident Advisor. One of the most exciting developments in drum and bass over the past few years has been the autonomic sound. Spearheaded by the duo of Instrumental and Exit Records head D-Bridge via a hugely influential podcast, they've shown what happens when you half drum and bass's tempo, embraced melody, and generally found more in less. As I talked to Instrumental at the Zoo, their island-bound studio that's so named because of the animals that often walk in, and the centerfolds from the similarly named Lads Mag that adorn the walls, I found that drum and bass was the last thing on their minds these days.
Let's talk about what you wanna do. What we're gonna do. In the late hours of the city night. Let's talk about the city nights. Let's talk about the neon lights.
So I guess I want to begin from the beginning, because I was reading over the interview we did with you a year ago for the Non-Plus Label of the Month thing, and you guys said you met when you were 10 in school? Was it this early?
Yeah, I mean, we weren't at school, we were just kids round the way, weren't we?
Was it in this area,
yeah,
London?
just up the road, yeah. Dame owned a video shop. His mum owned a video shop at the top of the road. And I can't exactly remember where we first met, but it was something to do with that, because there was an arcade machine in the video shop, kids kind of congregated there, and that's it. And I guess, honestly,
I don't remember how I met you.
it's just it was a long time ago, fucking over 20 years. And
Was it the bonding, was it music, sport, just being kids in the same area?
It was music and computer games, really.
Music, computer games and film.
Yeah, totally.
What computer games were you guys?
Atari STs, we had Atari STs. I mean, you know, the early consoles, but we got
Spectrums, Amstrads, I think all of them.
But when we got with the Atari STs, it was just the one. And I remember we used to go to some pirate
That was the ultimate, wasn't it? After all the
gaming club over the airport. It was a British Airways, like people that would get together and copy games. We thought it was amazing. My dad used to take us over there, and then we just had disc boxes full of 3.5-inch floppies, didn't we?
back in the day, it was all about taking your disc boxes and game swapping, wasn't it, with people?
Yeah.
At STs, there was like a little club, an underground circuit,
Atari STs.
and then we used that very same ST to write our first tunes on, sequencing with Cubase.
Which was a nightmare.
Yeah, it did well though.
Solid.
What was the videos that you were watching early on? That
We'd watch whatever we wanted from the video shop.
Because like we used to sort of like half help out with my mum, so we'd just like take films and just watch them. We'd like go and stay at ours for the weekend and just take loads of videos over, like VHS, and we'd just go on a marathon horror one, just watching all the horror films, because we were big on horror back then. And then maybe slip in a couple of Electric Blues into the secret cases and nick them out of the shop. It was all about Electric Blue porno series when we were kids.
Yeah. And just, we used to, I'd stay at his house on a Friday, he'd stay at mine on a Saturday, and we'd just sit up watching films. I remember Channel 4 used to be really good back in the day. There'd be a Godzilla film on every week and stuff like that. I used to run some really cool stuff, but we grew up
MTV Raps. Right?
Through the 80s, MTV Raps, and then we sort of, we really got into hip hop, and we were ordering like, there used to be a record store up the road from us, and it's called Rainbow Records. We used to go in there and we used to buy like The Source and what was it called? The other hip hop magazine. I can't remember. We'd see what was going on and go in there and order the tapes. It'd take about a month to come in. They'd ring up, got your tape. We're like,
Because it was all still underground. Like back then, obviously no internet.
Yeah.
So we used to just go in. We used to have to read them like things and then like get imports in from the US. But we had loads of cassettes.
So the record shops didn't actually have the records.
No,
they had the magazine that you could like find out the records.
Yeah.
I
mean, even the magazines were imported, weren't they? You know what I mean? And I don't know where we'd get the magazines, but they were about £6 a go at the time. And it was just a neutral love of film and music. You know, you just meet someone, like your best mate as a kid, and we just always sort of like stay friends. And no one else shared the same passion, like with all the people we grew up with and went to school with, shared the same passion for music, and as we did. I mean, it's funny because we didn't see each other for years when we moved on to like secondary school. We saw each other in the playground and stuff, but we didn't sort of hang out. And then after we left school, I'd been DJing, got my turntables, and I was completely obsessed with DJing. And I ended up paying some studio time with someone to like just to have a go, writing a tune. Can't really remember why. I guess it was just a natural progression. And anyway, like a friend of ours both lives opposite Dame's, and I was over there one day, and I saw Dame come out. He said, "What you been up to?" And he said, "Yeah, I've been in the studio and stuff." I said, "Yeah, so have I." And then it was kind of like after a few years where we hadn't been sort of hanging out so closely, realised that we're both sort of ended up on the same path, and then from there it was just like, well, why don't we set a studio up, give this a go? And we were like 18, 19.
About 18, yeah.
About 18. And,
were you both still listening to hip hop mostly at the same time when you wanted to become a DJ, or was it hardcore? And
yeah, I mean hip hop stayed with us for a long time, didn't it?
Hip hop was always there. Like, it's just one of them things that always ran, and sometimes it obviously peaked when certain artists come through. But then it was like, but back then, yeah, I was listening to a lot of like back in the early 90s, like 91, 92. It was just hardcore and sort of like techno stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It was all kind of fused back then as well. Like the whole hardcore techno thing was a very fine line, like similar to what it is today. Like genres, people, because of the tempo, everyone was playing all different types of stuff back then. But then it sort of like, I suppose, yeah, it progressed into
jungle.
I'm
big on jungle.
And we were like, yeah, we both in our own circles were massive on jungle, and then yeah, into sort of drum and bass. But the whole time, yeah, listening to Warp stuff as well. A lot of Warp material growing up.
I'm surprised if you were around the same area though, you wouldn't run into each other at the record shop or something before that.
Oh, we used to run into each other all the time. It was always good, like friends, everything. But like when you're growing up, you have your own little groups of posses, but we used to sort of see each other out and about. And
because we were in different years at school. Dame's a year younger than me, so I went to that school a year before.
Back then, a year is like
exactly. And so I had my own friends and. Always just see Dame and talk and all that, but it was just like you're doing your own thing for a few years. And then ultimately, after we left school, like I said, we found out that we're on the same path, and that was pretty cool. And then we hooked up. We started going out, hanging out again. My dad got us a load of credit for a load of studio equipment. We originally planned to spend like about 600 quid, and we spent $6,000. And we were paying him off like £100 a week until it was all done, and because we were both working, doing whatever, and we didn't even know how to turn the gear on, to be honest. We didn't know what we were doing, and we ran into Jim from Source Direct in London in a club one night, and we all sort of got out of our brains together, and we kind of made a friendship with him, and then we started working in the studio with him.
we didn't even know we had a studio, did he? For months into sort of like, we used to sort of hang out, meet up and like go to clubs and just party and stuff, and he didn't even realise we had a studio. And then one day, I think it was back at his house, he took us back to his studio, or no?
No, I said meet us at my house later on tonight, and so on and so forth, and for whatever reasons, and he came down to my mum's, and we had a studio there, a bit like this, a bit smaller, in a double garage. She'd done it out for us for my 21st birthday, had it all sort of like boarded up, and we put all the gear in there, and he walked in, he was just like, what? He didn't know, because we hadn't told him, you know.
It's just full outboard studio.
Yeah, and well, that's all it was back then, wasn't it? And,
Did you know what you were doing by that point? You said you didn't even.
Yeah, we've been
creating tunes and
it's
stuff?
a couple of years afterwards, but
Still didn't know how to use like compressors and stuff like that. It was just like twisting knobs and just, it was still experimental, because when you don't know anything about it, and we bought so much equipment, it was like to like learn everything. It's
Yeah,
insane. So we were just scratching the surface, but we learned how to use like the sampler, the EMU and stuff, and obviously Cubase and how to sort of route things through. But things like compressor, EQ and all that was a little bit touchy back then.
because there was no one else around here.
Things.
There was no one else around here, so, you know, who could show us anything. There was no internet, so it was all very. And to this day, no one showed us how to do anything. You know, it's just like trial and error and experimentation, really. And then we never sold the equipment. I mean, obviously we've added to it. We're surrounded by machines now. We've added to it over the years, but yeah.
What was the first piece of equipment that you guys bought? I mean, when you went in this shopping spree,
The first synth we ever bought was this one. Which I don't mind.
8000?
Yeah, that's the only bit of kit we let off.
JP8000 was.
That was the first synth we bought, and we bought mixing desks. And we had like outboard sampler. We used an EMU ESI 4000, I think it was. Like originally, had no waveforms on it. You had to cut the samples up by numbers and that, and buy
It take like about an hour just to do a break, or 2 hours just to cut a break up. You just have to write down all the numbers and then like go to the next number.
Right at the point down where he did the cut. And have you seen that film A Beautiful Mind with Russell Crowe? Do you know that room where he walks in? It's just numbers.
Yeah.
That's what the studio was like, because
The post-it notes everywhere.
it was just like, well, yeah, it looked like.
We upgraded that and we ended up, we got the EMU64 Ultra.
Yeah, which cost us about
2.5.
Yeah, about £2,000, fully loaded, and yeah, we were using that for quite a long time. But I mean, that was like industry standard by that point. Everyone was on that sampler; it was the one to have. A lot of people still use Akai's. The Akai's got a really great low pass filter on it. Is it 12 bit? Is it? But it's just got a nice warm, nice warm crunch to the low pass. So it was Akai or EMU, but EMU definitely had the upper hand because
of the filters.
Yeah, awesome array of filters.
What was the parties? What were the best parties that you were going to with Source Direct? You're going into London proper? I mean, were there things that were really...
Well, there was always Metal Edge running. They were always at the forefront. Metal Edge, at Leisure Lounge and Camden, Dingwalls.
And Café de Paris.
Café de Paris. Hoxton. Blue Note, of course. Went to Blue Note.
Was there a particular party that really blew your mind, or was it just the entire sort of scene?
Back then, the whole thing was just a non-stop party.
We were completely out of our heads. I mean, we were young, just sort of like drunk and on drugs for years. You know, you know, it's what you do when you're young, though, isn't it? But it's a very hazy time, and it all had to sort of come to an end when I had a daughter. I had to sort of slow the party lifestyle down. I think we just got that little bit older as well, and it was like, yeah.
To slow down.
Yeah.
Right, you know, come abruptly, didn't it? Everyone just had to slow down.
Yeah, you know, certain things change. But I think there was a club called AWOL, A Way of Life, which had 5 residents, sort of like club in London. It started at the Paradise Club, went to SW1. And anyway, it was a tape by Randall that I heard. That was just like a turning point for me. That's what made me buy some turntables and want to take things further.
I bumped into you, didn't I? Like in the Roller Express a couple of times.
Yeah, just
out of the blue, just because this is the time when we'd sort of like split up and weren't like we weren't friends, but obviously we weren't seeing each other. But I bumped into him in the Roller Express. They used to have like tenors and fivers, these gigs. I think a couple of times bumped into it down there, like completely out of our heads.
Yeah, I remember. I've got a vague vision of you sitting down by the lockers, like, you know, eat out your brains, like, just, right out. It's like, right, yeah, this is a messy one. So, it's just a great vibe and a great time to be, you know, we grew up through jungle hardcore as it evolved. And I was talking to Faulty DL about it because he's like jungle obsessed. Yeah. He was just like, Jesus Christ, he said, you were over here, you lot were over there, like trying to get your hip hop tapes, and all I wanted to do was get a jungle tape. And he goes, but you, and he was just so, he wouldn't leave off. Like, he was asking me all these questions about, you know, what was it like of the music, And it was really weird to sort of, be talking about that, because it was just something I'd never really thought about before, And then speaking to someone else on the other side of the pond, the equivalent of what we're doing with hip hop, it was really exciting for him. So it was really cool. And he was part of a small minority out there who even knew what it was, or even gave a damn, because it was just hip hop, wasn't it? Yeah. It's,
as far as DJing, so you were mostly doing hardcore and jungle.
Yeah, it was just jungle, drum and bass. Yeah, that's all I ever bought. I didn't really listen to like techno or that early on. We were literally children of the rave generation. Obviously, that little bit younger, acid house and all that in Manchester and blah blah blah. But we were there for like hardcore jungle.
We used to listen to a lot of like. There was like a lot of techno like being played on like Green Apple and stuff.
Yeah, I know. I guess, and it's like it was kind of like a hybrid though, isn't it?
It was on the 4/4, but
techno with breaks, like Detroit influenced, and just people with samplers. But
yeah, classic.
so I guess
like Tronic House, like Kevin Saunderson. I've just recently fit that back in my set. Classic tune from back in the day, but that was kind of like another one that was like pure techno, Detroit techno that was being mixed up with hardcore back in the There used to be this pirate radio station called Green Apple, which had all the big names, all that.
Green Apple.
Such a wicked, getting your Green Apple tapes, getting your record on.
Like a little later, Don FM, but Green Apple was the one round here. It was the pirate station. I think it was run out of Slough, from what I heard.
Yeah, but they had some big DJs on that, didn't they?
Every Saturday night. This was at a stage before like I hadn't sort of hooked back up with them. Well, mate, I used to go around my friend Ben's, and his mum and dad would go to bingo, so we had the house. We'd all chip in, get some draw, and go around there and stick Green Apple on and just sort of like dance around between we were at a rave when we were like 14 years old, just loving it all. Yeah, thinking back, it was a good time to be alive, good time to be young, through the rave generation.
Yeah, the 90s was definitely...
It was a lot of fun.
Good for music.
With the first tracks that you guys were creating, I'm assuming it was all also jungle, drum and bass. Was Source Direct like helpful in doing the production stuff and showing you around, or a little bit?
He was on the first tunes that we wrote. He engineered them, and we just sort of we took some sounds up from our studio, and we all sort of chipped in, but he ultimately engineered them. But then it's not like we didn't learn a great deal. You just pick little bits and bobs up, just how people do things, or how people, it's not just necessarily about techniques. It's just picking little bits and bobs out how people work. Like the process of it, and just pick things like that along the way. But yeah, he engineered the first tunes, and I think we got on well because we realised that we're all very sort of like thought similar things about music as well. And he was breaking up with his partner as Source Direct at the time. That was all going on, so I think it was nice for him to have a couple of other people around who he got along with and could sort of relate to on a musical level.
As far as your first productions, where do you feel like that slotted in within the scene at the time? Was it more...
It was basically because Jim, obviously Source Direct, was still like a firm lover of the Amen break. And to be honest, the Amen stuff calmed right down at the time, and there was a lot of sort of like the optical spawns where everyone was trying to do mutant bass lines and sort of like the two-step thing. So obviously Source Direct hadn't put out anything for a while, and then when he came with this collaboration with us, he like drew the Amen break, and he always had a classic Amen break, and it was just massive subs, just a big 808 sub, tear out Amen. And like this catchy little sample, and I think at the time it just so happened to be really good. It was sort of cut through because no one was doing that, because everyone was trying to clone someone else. and it made quite a big impact with like all the Metalheads crew, like Goldie and everyone loved it. It was getting hammered.
Much to our surprise, it became a really big tune.
Yeah. So at the time of making it, I don't think personally, but both of us weren't that keen on it. But it was one of them ones that grew, like, after hearing it out in the club and stuff and seeing what it'd done, it was like, yeah, it was quite exciting the first time we started to hear it without Metalheads.
Why weren't you keen on it?
Because we were kind of...
Because we also heard the Amen breaks so many times. Like, obviously I grew up listening to hardcore and everything was the Amen break, so it was...
When Optical did his thing, it was very refreshing for us, because we're very sort of like... We've always been quite forward thinking, and you know, we're ready to accept anything new if we like it, you know. It's not like we've never really been stuck in our ways. And yeah, we were just sort of like very much into like what Optical was doing early on, was just sick, and yeah, we wanted to do some stuff along those lines to kind of leave the breaks alone, and ultimately it became a big part of what we did as instrumental. When we came back in the scene, we wouldn't use any breaks because they'd been rinsed out so badly, I couldn't really listen to them anymore. And it's just like, how can you do something new with something that's been used over thousands of times? So yeah, but you know, that was moving on a little further. But
how much stuff did you do before you guys took a break? How many singles?
3 on Source Direct. We did Yo Bitch.
Snowblind the Place.
Yeah.
Did Hired Guns? Did that come out as a test press only or something?
Yeah, I don't think that reached in the end. Came on the other side of something. No, I did something with Jim, like late on.
Really hazy back then.
You were having a proper drink at the time, weren't you? It was like really
pretty
partying.
much alcoholic.
But
partying.
were all of those tracks have the Amen?
Not all of them,
No.
but Yo Bitch, the big one, had Amen in. Even if you listen back to like Snowblind, and
you can see the minimalist style of like Snowblind and stuff. That's what we were trying to do. Wasn't
yeah,
we? Just
it's really weird.
Stabby bass lines. Yeah, it's quite weird listening back. I heard it the other day.
It's about 12 years ago. Yeah, little stabby bass on, very minimal beats, and you know. So I think that's like, because we really sort of kind of took the reins on that. You know, like this. You know, I think we'd said we don't want to use any breaks, and that can we do that? And this is going back a long time when people were still hammering breaks regardless, and yeah, it's quite interesting listening back to that. And
you could sort of hear the seeds of what you were doing.
Yeah.
Snowblind's a good one. I enjoyed that.
It's just cold and dark, but yeah.
So tell me about the break. I mean, was that because you had a kid and things were changing and you just weren't sure, or was it because you were fed up with the scene? Or?
Basically partied out really hard, and kind of everyone burnt out. Alex had a kid. I was going through quite a rough patch, so was Jim, because obviously when you're that young, and we were selling like records, like a lot of records back then, and like, you know, 6,000-7,000 copies or whatever, and that is money in the bank, do you know what I mean? And when you're that young, it's quite easy just to go out partying every night, and just like, we were basically living in London, partying so hard, like days and days without like hardly any sleep and stuff like that.
People want to talk to you and you're in the party, and people want to talk to you about your music. No, you're young, you're just like
buzzing.
In a way, you think you're like a bit of a rock star and that, but I know it sounds ridiculous, but you do, you know, when you're young and you're meant to enjoy yourself, so I guess it doesn't sound ridiculous.
Kind of all burnt out though. And Alex, had a kid.
Yeah, I had my daughter, and I think, I mean, I had her young, I was about 21, I think that was it wasn't planned obviously, but I think it was for the best, you know, it really sort of brought it all in, and we just sort of after that we just got jobs and lived our lives for like 6 years, and I'm still in touch with Dame. Used to see him all the time. He used to pop round on weekends, and so I lived in his house, and you know, in all honesty, the party didn't really slow down that much. I moved in with a few friends, and it was constantly going on, whatever we were up to, and Yeah, I mean, ultimately, Dame said to me, because we'd not sold the studio equipment, I had it set up in a flat. I just lived down the road, had a 2-bedroom flat. Purposely got a 2-bed, I think, to put the studio in, but it was never really used. He used to sit around there and use it more than me, and I'd kind of lost interest. So I was kind of making a load of money doing other things, and, you know, I was wrapped up chasing girls, and, you know, everything was great. It was just having it. And then, you know...
But you kind of knew in the back of your mind, if you didn't sell the gear, that maybe
because we still had a massive passion for music. That never went away, regardless. But yeah. But I mean, ultimately, Dame pretty much talked me back into doing it. So I remember saying, you know, Dame, I don't know if this is reality, you know. Do you remember I was saying all this? I said, you know, it's all about making money, you know, blah, blah, blah. But after, you know, I'd made a bit of money and I'd lived and met all these girls and, you know, done all that shit, it's just like, you know, what's left? And when you sort of come back down to earth, all I ever enjoyed doing was DJing and messing around on studio equipment.
Because I had a little setup back at home, didn't I, at the time, because it was all the digital stuff was just coming out. So I bought myself a nice like PC at the time and some sort of EMU sound card and all that. I took the EMU sampler back and I had a desk wired up in my house. And I was basically just experimenting for like the years. I was working, was like coming back and sitting on my computer and like messing around with all these new digital plugins like Reactor and stuff, which was really, really sort of at the time mind-blowing because what Reactor could do. And I could sort of hear what all the sort of warp people were doing, and I really wanted to sort of recreate all that glitchiness and sort of stuttery sound. But yeah, that's it. When we set it back up at Al's house in the other room, was it just like I think I did some really dark sort of old metalheads type thing that hurts Rico's ears.
That's right. Rico runs Dark Astral.
Because like you get again like it was something I was never going to give up on because there's nothing else I want to do, really. I mean, I do like other certain things, like quite like sort of design, like visual design and all that, but music is the only thing. And you know when you're sort of like so hell-bent on something, like so I remember everyone trying to talk me out of doing the music at one point. All my best friends sitting down having like the heart-to-heart when, you know, stop chasing the dream. You need to.
They had interventions with you.
Yeah. You need to sort of grow up, wouldn't it? Everyone do it to me. You need to sort of grow up and get yourself a job, but I'm a real stubborn bastard. I'm really stubborn, and I don't listen to people. And
I don't like being told what to do either. I think that had a small sort of played a small part in like why I wanted to fucking, you know, it's proved these people wrong, you know. And
how does that manifest itself in the studio if both of you are stubborn bastards? This is why you have solo.
Oh, we know.
Now.
Well, yeah, no, yes and no, but we know each other so well.
Yeah, you know when you grow up with someone so well, you know someone sort of inside out, so you kind of know what's going to work. You both know what you like, so you know the compromises can be made in the studio because you think, okay, we're both going to like this, we're both going down this path, sort of thing. But yeah, with the solo stuff, all that does is allow us to become a little bit more self-indulgent and do the stuff that you wouldn't normally compromise doing in the studio. So you can go off on a bit of a tangent and do something a bit weird. So when we're in the studio, we know what we both like and what works. So
yeah, and it's quite bizarre listening to his solo stuff, and Dane might have had it the same with mine. It's like you hear parts of yourself in it.
Yeah.
Because we've been a unit for so long, it's that's quite strange, but cool at the same time. It's like it's something we're both sort of like still sort of getting used to, I guess, and. Yeah, it's good though. It's fun.
It's really interesting listening to. If you listen to both of the Bodica and the John Convex stuff, you can hear instrumental, can't you? What makes up the sound in a really weird way. It's pretty interesting.
And I think that'll become more apparent to everyone, like as more stuff comes out.
When you did the first thing with the pricked ears of Rico, was that the first thing that you had done in a while?
It was the first, because obviously back then it got to a point of like finishing tracks. It was just sketches, like nothing could ever get finished. And in this one track, I remember just sort of I sat down and made it in his spare room. Like I think you were out and about doing things and like give me a key or something. I basically go in and just sit in the spare room. And I just done this thing. It sounded pretty much finished in my ears. It was like it needed some bits and pieces. I was like, I think I finished the tune. I sent it to Rico, and he just loves real dark sort of. And he loves that early metalhead sound and all that. And it had sort of like it was very Source Direct influence. and he was just like, "That's really good, you know. You need to sort of like do some more stuff."
When we decided to sort of really go back in, we got this place sorted for a mutual friend, and he put a bit of money in. Got to shout Jay out on that, because without him this wouldn't have happened really.
Yeah.
Well, it wouldn't, period. And he was going to come in and do some work with us, you know, we said sure, because he always loved music and it's quite handy on a keyboard and stuff. But he kind of lost interest. He's it wasn't really for him at the end of the day. So, you know, we kept it on and we kept paying the rent and we kept buying equipment, and we sat in here, and this is where the rebirth of instrumental was, like right here on this island. And we sat in here for many hours, many late nights, just in session, you know. And it's an amazing feeling when you do these first tunes and stuff, because it's like you're just here, you know, you're just in this little room, and then as soon as you start sending the music out and you hear DJs playing it all over the world and stuff like that, just from this little room, I mean, that's just highly addictive. So
one of the first really exciting first tunes we did in here was Comanche and Naked Zoo.
Yeah.
And like the first time like hearing them on the radio and stuff, it was like really exciting. I think we were like tuning in, like listening, thinking,
oh, it was such a buzz. I sent Naked Zoo. Was that it called? Naked Zoo. It's called that because we called the studio the zoo because of all the animals that used to come to the door. There'd be squirrels, ducks, dogs,
Really?
mice, rats. So it's like it's a fucking
we've had
zoo.
ducks come in the zoo.
We've been feeding them in here, ducks.
They used to sleep on the doorstep. There was 3 of them. They used to come back every year.
Little family.
And when you used to open the door, they'd be sleeping on the mat. And they'd sort of get up, start cracking, and come in and start eating bread inside this part of the studio.
So yeah, we're on a tangent, yeah.
And zoo because of all the magazines that are everywhere.
Yeah, Naked Zoo. Yeah. Sent that tune to.
I understand the naked part.
Yeah,
Don't worry
exactly.
about
Yeah,
that.
hence all the chicks. Sent it to DJ Lee, old friend from Source Direct days, and he was like, "Oh my God, this tune's amazing." I was like, "Is it?" And he was like, "Can I send this to Marcus?" Sent it to Marcus, and he was like, "I want to sign it and put it on a compilation." We were just like, "Is this really happening? This is crazy." And everyone really liked that tune, and it was just, once again, no breaks, very minimal, Detroit-esque, just.
Were you listening to much of the stuff that was going on the label at that time?
Nah.
Right.
There was.
So there was no. You weren't actively writing things against what was going on at the time. You were just actively writing things that were.
Our roots were in drum and bass,
Yeah.
and we decided to sort of stick with that. It was going way too fast. We said, look, we'll work at 170 BPM. It's completely random, you know. So like, let's work at 170 BPM, Dan, and we won't use breaks, and we just do whatever. And that's how everything came about, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And the Naked Zoo thing just sort of like I say, just gathered momentum, and it pricked up people's ears. I guess because it was just so different.
We were
than
going
what everyone
around to
else was
Rico
doing.
as well for listening sessions, and we were listening to a lot of dubstep, like the early dubstep, and he was playing us this stuff, and it sounded like sort of like what drum and bass was. but not
Toasty and
slow.
Luke Envoy and that.
Yeah, because they were doing something like, I don't know, break step or whatever, but all that stuff, dubstep and the breaks and stuff, it sounded like old sort of jungle and stuff. So, and that was like influence for us to slow it down as well, and then just use kind of like drum machines. And I think we added like, we were doing glitchy hacks because we like had a couple of plugins in Reactor, and a couple of plugins I wrote in Reactor as well, just to do like glitch and grain effects. And because people weren't using, like, over abusing the glitchy edits and stuff in drum and bass, or like dubstep, because that was another thing like I used to love about sort of all the Ortega and all that stuff, warp stuff. So we incorporated like glitches. So if you listen to like Comanche, we start glitching out the drums and all that and stuttering things up.
And we use the V-Synth for
We
the
used the
stuff as well.
V-Synth.
Because you can put your own beats in the V-Synth. It's got like a touch pad that you can assign like different modulations to, and we were filtering sort of like glitching beats on V-Synth, which was quite fun. We heard Doc Scott was at Sun and Bass, and he had Comanche, rewound it like 3 times, and the people saying it was the tune of the thing, tune of the festival. It was just like, you know, what was that tune and blah blah blah. And then
he had it on plate, didn't he, for like a good year and a half, 2 years before it even came out.
And you know, people, same story, innit? Once a big DJ plays a tune, everyone wants to play it, and it was just, you know, it just sort of went from there. And it was just, that's all the incentive you need to keep going, and inspiration is just to know that people are playing your music and they love it. I mean, that's ultimately why, me personally, I do it. Certain people like Drexia and you know, War Packs, and just completely changed my life musically. So all the money and the lifestyle that comes with this is cool, but ultimately it's just about leaving a bit of a legacy and making like people's lives that little bit better, you know. Just sort of like, you know what it's like when you hear a piece of music you love, you never forget the first time you heard it, the time, the place, the nostalgic feelings you get, say 10 years on, and to think that people do that with our music is just, you know, that's a beautiful thing.
But it's interesting that, you know, even though people are having those experiences, that you're not at all trying to replicate that. Like, you listen to the new album and it's completely different than the autonomic stuff.
We don't try and do anything. We just write.
Yeah, I think it just boils down to like points of time where we're at musically, and you know, we didn't say, oh, we're going to write something that's quite cold and very different to autonomic. We just sort of come in and we've just started writing at different tempos, because we've always been doing slow tempo stuff, like the Apple Pips thing. We had like, that was 141 side, the other one was like a electro thing, just like 120 something, and we just came in and started writing, and it just so happened that it started to form. Like, we brought a few new toys for the studio, and it started to come out very quite sort of stark, dystopian, like metallic robot sort of music.
But we love that, you know. We love. We can't say we love it all. We love everything, you know. Basically, musically, it's like, you know, soul, darkness, just whatever it is, you know. There's always something good in it. So it's like, it's really hard to talk about or explain. Once you get in a vibe, you get in a place, you just sort of run with it, and that's what I figured. If you start thinking about things too much, it slows everything up. I'm kind of in one of those stages right now where I don't quite know what to write because I'm thinking about things too much. It's all about vibing, you know. You get a vibe, sit down here so many times and you're like, right, I'm going to do this sort of tune today, and I end up going off on a massive tangent and writing the tune nothing like I set out to write, and it's just that you grab a vibe and you go with whatever direction it takes you.
You mentioned D-Bridge, and you were saying that he was one of the few drum and bass guys that you were listening to back when you first began again. It was sensible. Was it that he was playing a little bit slower and it was a little bit less
just wasn't
focused on the dance floor?
Yeah, it
and
just wasn't
so
as busy, and it was just some nice sort of rollers, and you know, because I mean, it was so silly by this point. But drum and bass, it was just, couldn't even listen to it. I guess that just, it's getting a bit older and we've got such a musical knowledge, it's sort of like, just weren't working for us. And Darren was definitely doing something
against the grain.
Yeah, that bit more interesting, you know. It was stripped back, it was sensible, it wasn't noisy, rowdy, you know, kids music. It was just like, oh, this is really nice. I think it was a mix. He was back to back with Comics, was he?
Yeah, and also we heard him out, didn't we? Somewhere we went out and we heard him play something, and he played that solar bit.
Yeah.
There was the fractured sort of beat.
Yeah.
And it sounded really good out. It was really minimal. It was like just this little beat panel, and it weren't filled up with breaks. It was like, this is really interesting. And he was definitely doing something interesting.
Was the first thing collaboratively that you did the track on his album?
Yeah, that's right. Blush Response, wasn't it?
Blush Response was done over like about a year, wasn't it?
And do you know what? We didn't even have the final mix the day he was mastering, and he said, "Please, I want that tune for my album so much. Please, can you do this?" And I remember we came down here, and we did it. And I usually like to record about 10 versions of a track, like, and I'm listening to them all, get it just right, tweaked up nicely, and I had to get this. We changed loads of little parts. I think we put a new snare in and everything. And it's unheard of for me just to record a tune and that's it, done. And we recorded it and we aimed it to him in the mastering house, and it got mastered about an hour later. So thankfully it came out all right, But yeah, that was quite crazy. But Darren was an early supporter of our work.
How did you guys come up with the idea for the podcast originally? What was the sort of idea behind it?
I think it was a case of basically there wasn't a lot of DJs or radio stations playing like full selection of what we wanted to hear, and there was people like Flight who were supporting on our One Extra show and stuff. And
you had to listen to all this Drac, and then...
Oh no, she used to play quite a good section, but at the same time we're really, really picky with what we like, so...
Yeah, of course.
And and we were getting some stuff sent to us. I just think we wanted to create like a sort of radio or something that people could listen to the sound that we were doing and have like loads of it, because we had loads of material from us and Darren. We were getting a few bits sent in from like some other guys that were like listening to our stuff. And
did you not look into doing like a radio show or something? No.
Yeah, it was just long though, so we just decided it'd be easier just to do a podcast, and then we could do it like as we went along. It'd be a lot easier. There's no sort of like just work whenever. But just wanted to do like 12 shows. I think originally we had a track we were going to call it Autonomic, like this track we were doing, and it sounds like really good. If you look up what Autonomic means, it sounds really good. So we done that Autonomic podcast. The whole layer thing come from old anime called Serial Experiments Lane. Each episode was a different layer, layer 1, layer 2. It's like, yeah, so we used that because it sounds quite futuristic, but we all just sat down. It was just an outlet for us to put our music on and get it heard, like what we were doing, the whole minimal sort of beats and stuff. But and then to make it a little bit more special, we just thought, let's do an influences section, just so people know what's influencing what we're making, what we're doing, so they can sort of like, people can go back, look at the tunes and go down that path. And it's like, when I was younger, I used to like taking sort of like my mini disc or whatever, or iPod into like someone's house and have loads of people around having a smoke. You'd sit there and play loads of tunes that you love, and you'd play these tunes to people like, you've got to listen to this, and people are like, it sets them off and they go and like buy the album, whatever. Yeah. So it's basically another thing like that, just for people that hadn't heard these artists that we were listening to, they could go back and listen to some great music and discover great music.
It took a lot, got a lot of enjoyment out of doing the influences as well.
Yeah.
It was like...
who could come with the bigger tunes, like...
Yeah, it was just good though. And I think it was to like make the mixes longer as well, because we wanted to wanted to do a monthly, and there wasn't enough of the sound we wanted to push, but there was enough to sort of make it work if we did it sort of that way. You know what I mean? Because otherwise you'd just have like half-hour sort of podcasts where we wanted to do something a little bit more substantial. But once again, we hadn't envisioned anything, sort of like what it would do, sort of like.
When did you realise that it was getting to be quite enormous?
The first one got like 10,000 downloads. Because my mate was running the server, and he wasn't expecting that because he only had a small server or whatever, and the bandwidth was chewed right up. And he said, I'm going to have to get a bigger server, so we got that. And suddenly my mates got in contact. I was like, right, we're going to have to buy a professional server because you've managed to. They've kicked me off and shut down his account because of the bandwidth and what he'd used. And it turns out, he'd done because he's really like intricate, our mate James, and he's done like spreadsheets about how many people, like individual hits we were getting and individual IP addresses, and he had all these things printed out for us. Like, and it turns out like by like number 4 or something, we were getting like 60,000 downloads a month. And I was like, holy shit, okay, this is quite serious. For what started off as just a little outlet to play tunes for people, it was like, okay, this is really good. So it made sure it was all up on iTunes and all that running by then. And we got a bigger server that we pay monthly for. And yeah, it just kept going up. People just
I think we crashed another one as well, didn't we?
Yeah, we crashed another one. we requested a couple of servers, and we have to pay really expensive server, like all this bandwidth, because there was so many people downloading. Because by the time we got up to, like, say 8, for instance, people were downloading all the back ones as well. So there's a lot of traffic. But yeah, we give up like looking to see how many hits we were getting towards the end, because it was ridiculous. They were getting serious downloads a month, and then by the end of that though, it dried up quite a lot, because we didn't do the last 2 for ages, because we got so busy, because we done the Fabric CD.
Yeah.
And we got so busy working off the back of the Fabric CD as well, that we couldn't really do any podcasts. We didn't have the material, and rather than just stick things together, because it'd been such a solid series up until that point, rather than just stick things on there for the sake of it to make up a podcast, we thought we'd rather just like hold back, wait for some really good material to come around again, and then complete the podcasts, which we've completed last year. I think it took like a year to complete the last 2, but it was worth it. And that's it. We finished it as 12, so there's like 12 podcasts.
At what point did Club Autonomic come into? Was that like 6 months after the podcast started, or was it at the same time?
At the time we started the podcast, like, we thought that we were always going to do a club off the back of it as well, because a club to play. Because we sat down, we all talked about it. We said we need outlets for our music. Basically, we need a club, like people could go to get that sound.
Was there an actual meeting at some point where you sat down in a room and were like,
just in here, really, because Darren used to come down and we all used to work, and it was just like, we need outlets for people to hear this music, for it to be pushed more. And we brought the domain Club Autonomic, and that's where the podcast come off of that, because we always knew there was going to be a Club Autonomic. And when we done the Fabric CD, Club Autonomic came off the back of that. Oh no, we were doing the Club Autonomic first, weren't we? I can't even remember.
Did it start at Fabric though? Were those the first gigs that you played as part of that sort of banner, under that banner?
Yeah, that's Fabric was the first one to get on it, kind of thing.
Did we start the club first, or did we do the mix first with Fabric?
What do you mean?
Did we start doing Club Autonomic first, or did we do the mix first and Club Autonomic off the back of the mix?
Pretty sure we've done the club. No, we've done the club first. So
Right.
I'd seen how busy it got, and so
it was only like one night or something we'd done so far or something.
Yeah, but I mean, it was gathering such momentum, the whole thing that we were doing. That's why we ended up doing the 50th mix for them, which was cool.
I'm kind of interested in the club aspect. I've never seen you guys play at Fabric. Obviously, from what the sound of the podcast is very mellow for the most part, very laid back. Is that what it sounds like in room 3 when you play there?
Not anymore.
Quite
I
upbeat?
mean, things have changed. Things have changed a lot. I mean, ultimately, the Autonomic podcast was meant to be about electronic music, and it is. I say meant, it is. It just so happened that what we did at 170 had sort of like had such an impact and really sort of blown up that the podcast ended up being associated with 170.
Sure.
Drum and bass, sort of minimalism or whatever.
Well, I think with Non-Plus,
Yeah.
obviously, you can tell that it is electronic.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, this
branching
is what I'm trying to say. It's like, say, branching out. It was never meant to be that way, but we sort of just rode that wave. It was like, okay.
There are 2 of the podcasts that like slower tempo.
Yeah.
With like stuff, because we were doing slower tempo stuff that we wanted people to hear as well. But,
so ultimately, yeah, it just, because the 170 became so big, that's what the podcast became mainly associated with, which obviously, we got a lot of work from it and everything's cool, but I was never like massively happy about that. It was like I needed, that's why early on there was like a slower one as well, because it was like, it wasn't meant to be just about this. But it's all good, because the way I see it now, Autonomic sort of like is like the umbrella over Non-Plus, Exit, the Autonomic record label.
it was always meant to be like a brand.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I think where it all got a bit pear-shaped is people started to call the music we were doing like silly names, calling it dark lounge and like minimal step and all this crap. And it was just like, what we then we just tagged it and said, look, it's Autonomic, like what we're doing. And we just gave it like, that was an easy enough description for people to say, oh, it's Autonomic.
Well, and I think looking back on it, the influence section of the podcast is actually really important in showcasing the people that it isn't just
exactly
this.
Yeah, there's that as
And
well.
there are all these things coming in to inform what you're doing.
It was just sort of like, it was our thing to do what we wanted to do, and that's it ultimately. So getting back to your original question of like, you know, what's the room like? We go to Fabric and we play whatever we want. I mean, originally we were playing stuff people wanted to hear off the podcast and rock, so on and so forth. But it's like now, I mean, we're in a completely different place now anyway. So instrumental, I just kind of got known for like, you don't know what you're going to get when we go out and play, and we ended up like.
Do you know what you're going to play? When you
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know what I'm going to play, but I think.
Are you finding it easier and easier over time? Because I know you're sometimes getting billed at like Substance in Berlin, which is a dubstep party. You're getting billed at drum and bass parties. Maybe other places are house techno things. Like, are people seeming to get it more and more? Or was it always the case?
No. I mean, we were playing drum and bass gigs last year. I was stepping up in the drum and bass gig, doing an electro set and that. You know, it's just like, it was getting crazy last year, and we ended up not being so busy at the end of the year because in our minds, for the last 12 months, we've been writing different music and we were somewhere else. In the public's eyes, we're still what we were when they knew us from Autonomic and 170.
Well,
so,
they can only know what you
yeah, exactly.
But not what you're working on.
It takes a minute for you to realise that as well. It's like when you're writing, you just get so wrapped up in it. You know, I don't really think about much else. So yeah, we were just sort of like doing crazy drum and bass gigs, doing crazy sets and so on and so forth. And yeah, that just wasn't working out. But right now, the UK based sort of melting pot, I just think is so cool. So much music, and because we're playing at like 128 up to like maybe 135 up to, you know, on some occasions. I mean, I'll pitch up and down in my sets. You know, with that sort of scope, you can reach the house, techno, electro, all the UK based stuff, all the stuff we're writing, and I've never had so much fun like writing the album. We wrote the album, writing my new stuff as Bodica, Dame on his Convex stuff. It's like, do what you want now, you know. It really is. It's like, in some ways that can be quite daunting because I sit down and think, you know, sky's the limit here. This is crazy. You've got no restrictions. We never really thought like that anyway. Your tempo's the only restriction. But I think, yeah, right now everything's so much more acceptable, and sort of people are just so much more open-minded.
In Leeds, like a couple of weeks ago, wasn't it? It was like one night in Berlin. It was Marcel Detman and like all of the Panorama Bar in one room, and in the other room it was like me, Scuba, Addison Groove, and Ramadan Man. And yeah, that was like really good. And that was like the last set I played. Was like, this is what I was saying. It's got to a point now where we're just playing the music we want to play, and it's just like this melting pot of play whatever you want because it's all similar tempos. In that like set, I managed to fit like Carl Craig, Kevin Saunderson, Ortega, Aphex, Dexter, like, all into my set. Like tunes spanning from all different years, and they just all blend in just perfect.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it is amazing to be able to play like things like playing Ortega in my set. I didn't think I'd ever be able to do, you know, and get away with it with the crowd still going like wild.
I just heard, which, you know, in awe of, that Aphex Twinders played Block. He played a couple of my tracks in his set, and he played a Ramadan Man track in his set, and I mean that's just, you know, that's a big achievement for me. And it's like, it just goes to show it's great that these like electronic sort of gods and like die-hard techno purists are embracing the future. And I mean, I think it speaks volumes as to like how open-minded everyone's getting, and sort of like what this melting pot that we're talking about, how sort of vast it is and how much impact everything's had on everyone. Yeah, I think it's brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
The podcast, I really like looking back, because you don't realise what it's doing because we're locked in this little room. You don't realise what things are doing to people out there. Like, it's only what you hear back from certain people, but the podcast really made a massive impact on so many people on like so many different levels. Like, and people have come up to us and like openly spoke to us about it. Like, love the podcast. Like, it's totally changed my way of writing, like Scuba, Loafer, Scream. People like that coming up to us just saying like, you know.
Who's the most surprising person? You said Aphex played one of your tracks. Was there someone that you were just like, you're listening to this?
You hear all sorts. I mean, there was Pete Tong. He was tweeting on his Twitter that he's like listening to instrumental, absolutely deep and all this, and someone's linked it. It's just like, you don't really expect like people like that, but you don't realise who your music's like getting to unless people tell you, so you don't really know. So I'm sure there's people out there listening to it that we just wouldn't even expect. But it was quite shocking to hear like people like Loafer and Scuba that totally like Scream, just it really influenced them to like start wanting to write and change their writing style, and you know these people are like huge in dubstep and all that, you know, and they're big names, and them to turn around and say to us like really inspired them.
So do you
really good.
find that, you know, you talk a lot about dubstep, house, other producers, do you feel like
We
people
wanted to do what they were doing. We wanted to slow down, and then people like Scuba, certain other people, like you said, they wanted to do what we were doing because it was like really fresh and exciting to them. It's like, oh, this is crazy, you know?
Yeah, like Scream was coming down to the studio and we wanted to write slower stuff, and he was just like, I want to write 170.
It was just nuts. It was like, we can't win here.
But with other drum and bass producers, you know, obviously the Exit compilation, you have a coherent group of people, but do you find that other groups are opening up to what you guys are doing or listening to your stuff, playing your stuff?
What I've heard as well, yeah, I mean, lots of people are playing stuff, and the new album and stuff on the new album is like a lot more sort of accessible because of like the tempo of it. But I don't know. Everyone's sort of always been behind what we've done, but whenever I've met people out and about in clubs, it's almost like I don't think there's many pictures of us on the internet. We haven't done too many interviews, and I don't know. The impression that I've got is like people. I used to wonder why we didn't get sent tunes, and I found out a lot of the time because I've never been happy with my mix downs or this or that. You know, no one ever is. It's never perfect. It's never how you want it. You know, you just have to let go, as they say. And yeah, I've kind of figured that people wouldn't send us tunes because they didn't think they sound good enough. You know, it's like, what you on about? You know, it's like, why don't you send me tunes? I need dub plates. And it's just like, so many producers are hung up on like their production sound. You know, it's like, and it's like, I know what I mean. If I'm sending tunes to someone I think's got a real tight sound, and this, you sort of send the tune and send a little explanation about it. You know, it's like, yeah, could do with this, could do with that. So I just,
You're also saving yourself
mix
from,
needs tweak.
yeah, exactly. I just kind of figured that people thought we were a little bit unapproachable. I don't know where we got that from. I was talking to Joy Orbison the other day. We were doing some work, Pete, and he said, really weird for him to hear him say this. He said they were listening to the Autonomic podcast when he started, him and his friends, and he said, and they were just so magical. He said, we used to be driving around in a car or we're doing this, and he said we used to listen to him and just we used to sit there and say, he said because it was all very faceless, you know, there wasn't pictures of you anywhere. I know it was purposeful, it was just how it was, I guess. And he said, you sit there and he said, you know, I wonder what they're doing now. I wonder if they're doing the next one now, this and that. And I was just like, this is nuts, you know, like
you're just like
hearing it because it's like, yeah, exactly. We used to talk, you know, about other artists, like, you know, we looked up to, so that, you know. But it's really interesting to hear him say that because it gives you an insight into what is going on into like other people's minds and what the perceptions are of what's going on and this and that. But
it's funny whenever I hear people talk about like anonymous techno producers.
Yeah.
It's half and half. Like some people are trying to be anonymous, other people just no one bothered to take a picture of them.
Yeah.
No one bothered to like.
Yeah, exactly.
Interview them.
It just worked. They just got lucky and it kind of worked for them on that level. But I think we made it clear that we didn't want to work with many labels, and I think that was another reason why the slightly sort of like standoffish approach was with us, and it was for no other reason, and we didn't want to spread ourselves thin, and you know, we just want to work with friends. You know, it's as simple as that. So
what's coming up for Non-Plus?
There's Bodica 12 after the sampler and the instrumental album, and then that's going to follow up with the LOL album, which we just think's fantastic music. Looking forward to getting that out. And then we've got Cassim Moss, I spoke to him about 2 weeks ago. He's going to have an EP finished for us by the end of April, so he said.
Another Scream 12.
Another Scream 12. Loafer was meant to do some tunes, but whether that ever materialises, I don't know. I speak to him every day, but I'm always cracking the whip, but we will see.
I'll write something for Non-Plus as well under John Convex.
Yeah, Dame's...
Wasn't there supposed to be a Kyle Hall thing at some point?
Didn't happen. Kyle, for whatever reasons of his own, pulled out of it, even though he'd done us a remix and sent us a tune. It's like, yeah. That was all a bit naughty, really, but yeah, that's not happening. Zombie, some point this year, he's been sending me tunes again, and yeah, he's on the case. So I'd definitely like to get something from Zombie. What else have we got lined up? I'm trying to think. Joy Orbison's writing us a 12 as well, which I'm excited about.
Indian.
Oh, Indian, yeah. Some dusty techno from a new artist that we've sort of discovered. Dusty sort of house techno, really deep. There's a 12 there.
Seems like quite a bit.
Yeah, there's quite a bit there, definitely, but it's like...
It's coming on non-limited as well. We've got like the Barry Manalog
10-inch
coming out.
Barry Manalog, yeah.
Which is just like a pure analog workout, and that's coming like limited to 500 or something. So that we're not even going to let anyone know that one's coming out. It's just going to drop that in the shop and just going to go.
Do you find that the stuff is selling quite well? I mean, it's all, obviously, you've talked quite a bit about how it's just electronic music, but when you talk to a distributor these days, they want to be able to say it's something, and you can't really do that necessarily.
Yeah, I mean, the stuff that does sell well, I mean, with the first Cassim Moss 12, a slight tangent, he was very underground.
Yeah,
when I heard him, I was like, oh man, you know, this guy's music's just incredible. It was very dusty, interesting, do you know what I mean? Not over polished, just great vibes. And I said to Dame, I want to ask him to do something. And Dame hadn't been like listening to his music as heavily as I had. I mean, there was only a handful of stuff anyway, the workshop stuff. But it just really had an impact on me. So I sort of made contact with him and asked him if he'd do us a 12. And I didn't know whether he'd do it or not, but he did. And I saw it as a kind of a chance, maybe. I took a chance, but I just saw such potential in the geezer. And you know what I mean? He's really come a long way since the Non-Plus release. He's just I don't know. His name's just a lot more. It's a lot wider spread, and you know, I think he's just going to develop. I think it was a really great move getting him on board. I was really happy to sort of have him on board. He's such a talent, and
And that's obviously you got in contact with Low Tech, I assume, through him.
Yeah, because Low Tech runs Workshop, and once again got a lot of respect for Workshop as a whole.
Yeah.
I spoke to Jens, and asked him to do a 12 as well, because I just love they've got their own little style going on there, like Leipzig, however you pronounce it. It's it's quite distinctive, and I was excited to have them both on board. Kind of proud that they want to be involved with it as well. So
it also seems like the stuff that they're doing for you is quite a bit different than stuff. But you can still kind of.
I didn't
hear.
Want them to do that. I made that clear.
Yeah.
But I think Gunnar, Cassim, he felt like he needed to write something for Non-Plus. I was like, just do you. That's all I want. But I was massively happy with a 12. High res. He's sort of like it's about 150 odd BPM. Just so sick. Just the groove, man. Just doing his thing. And the other side, some slow, weird, burning house thing. And it's exactly what I wanted. So I'm really can't wait to see what he comes up with for the EP. I genuinely get excited about his music. Big fans. I think that's it. Artists we pull in are friends and we're fans of. So very honoured to sort of like have anyone who does release, like same with Actress. Just a big fan. Hazyville. It was just like, wow, guys on one.
Yeah. I kind of see your new album a little bit the same way as his album, and obviously the sound isn't the same.
Have you heard
like
the album
the aesthetic?
Have you heard
your
the album? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Like that tempo is kind of all over the place, and it's just about kind of sketches because all the songs are like 4.5, 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're all songs, but they're not like long 7-minute drawn out things. They're just kind of like ideas, and then we're done.
Just short and sweet.
It just depends, you know. There's obviously club burners on there, but why make a track any longer than it needs to be if it doesn't need to be?
Yeah,
you know,
some things you just listen to. It's like you can understand if you're doing like long techno tracks that were like needed to evolve over a certain time, then obviously it'd be like a lot longer. But I think a lot of these tracks, the structure of them, like they didn't need to be long. They needed to just be like a maximum of like 5 minutes really. And it gave us, obviously, because I think we filled up the CD with like the 12 tracks. Was it 13 tracks? Did we have a hidden track on them?
Don't know.
I can't remember. But yeah, I think they all just work because there's a few club tracks on there, but even just like the more mellow ones, you could have just added an extra 4 minutes onto it and like said, oh, this one's really deep, you let it get into your head, do you know what I mean? I'm just listening to it for like 8 minutes. But same loop. But no, it's just like,
but seriously, it's like,
it's just the whole thing's like a journey. I think it's another one of them things you've got to listen to start from finish. I know people don't listen to albums from start to finish nowadays, which is a shame. But I think it'll make a lot more sense if you like, you know, get in the headphones, listen to it from start to finish, and you sort of hear the structure of it, and everything has got a running theme throughout the whole album.
yeah, it's very coherent. The sound of it and the vibe of it. It's like, it's because we did it all at once. We had tunes from before, you know, that we thought we could use this and that, but
It just didn't fit in.
no, and that's why we didn't put When I Dip on the CD, because it didn't fit with the track listing. But we wanted to get it out there because it's doing a lot of damage, so we just put it on the sampler, you know. But as the album runs, I think it's pretty coherent, and it's just vibes, you know. And there's a lot of like dirty analog equipment and crazy techniques used on it, which are one-off sounds, like hands on us, like never gonna make that sound again. Just us, human touch all over it, and it's just like, no, we're proud of it, man. We're proud of everything we do. It's
What
like,
was the hardest track to finish?
Delta Zone probably, because it changed, didn't it? That tune changed probably possibly about 4 different times, the samples and the beat. I've got like
can't remember.
about 4 different versions of that, but it wasn't a case of it being hard to write, it just kept
The whole thing was
mutating.
pretty natural, man.
Yeah.
It rolled. It came together pretty quick. It's like, hold on, we got enough tunes for an album, man.
I was very surprised to like hear that you were putting out an album so soon, because it just seems like you guys have been so productive.
What other people were saying, why haven't you done an album 2 years ago? But I kind of saw people talking about the 170 aspect of it and all that. But in all honesty, I kind of saw the Fabric CD last year as like, for us anyway, the pinnacle of our 170 stuff. After watching you, we couldn't seem to better ourselves, and neither of us were about to sort of like drop in quality of what we were doing, and it has to be as good, or if not better, than what we've done already, because otherwise you're just cashing in, and we don't work or think like that anyway.
Yeah, because
That's a shit way to work and
Watching
think.
You was big, wasn't it? Like, and for us, it was one of them things that, because it was really big in everyone's eyes, they're like, oh, that Watching You track's great, the vocals, the processing is really good. Like, we've never been one just to milk out a sound and just like rinse it clean out, because like,
Which is
people are
boring.
like, you need to use the vocal again, you need to do that sort of processing, pitched up and grain it, and it was like, nah, you know, it sounded wicked on that track and it was different, but why keep doing something, do you know what I mean? And like, it just waters down the original as well.
I don't think it's a conscious decision though, we just move on.
But I do think you have rinsed out this idea of creepy watching people, voyeur watching.
Oh yeah, we
There's
love
another song.
We love
Love
sleaze.
seedy stuff, seedy stuff. That's
Sleazy
just
red light, back street, dark rainy alleys or whatever,
City
you know,
life.
it's like city nights basically. Massive sort of, between the two of us, we've got this. Yeah, we're not perverts or anything.
To believe it or not, Watching You was originally wrote at 1:40, and Darren done vocals, and it wasn't actually even in the way it's been laid out. We chopped it all up and repasted sections and made it say like different things.
Do you know what? I love that original tune as well, but we lost the arrangement, so we just reused the vocals. We've got like a sketch of it somewhere, haven't we? And we reused the vocals, and they just slotted onto like what we were doing one day. It was like, oh, that sounds nice. And we'd started Watching You about a good 6 months before we finished it, and it needed a big bridge, and that was a big section in the middle that sort of came across, and then just brought it back in. And once again, it was just very natural. Didn't think about it too much, you know. When things are falling into place, you just got to ride it, you know, ride it and make the most of it, make the best of it.
Watching you.